All right. So I would like to welcome you all to our session, which is the thematic track session 1.4 on renewable energy for transport, agriculture, and other sectors, which is an interesting topic and which might be slightly different than what you might have heard in other sessions, because we are looking into some of the sectors not necessarily always captured fully in our conversation in the context of energy transition and decarbonization, because we talk a lot about power sector, and then we immediately shift to sectors like hard to abate, industry, transport, some part of transport, but not necessarily we look into some of those sectors which are quite important for the economic structure of many countries we work with, which like agriculture, and which are under a serious threat of climate change, and where the discussions are not only about mitigation, but a lot about adaptation. So we will look into those sectors. Transport is, obviously we need to look into transport in different perspectives. Transport in the context of road or freight transport is quite different than what we are discussing in the context of long-haul shipping or aviation. But also we look into agriculture and other sectors. Especially important are those sectors and which are at the center of public provision of essential public services like health, education, which are also central to this energy transition discussion, because they are also central to our approach to energy transition, which should be fair and just for everyone. So in that context, action is extremely important to be taken in those sectors too, and that's what we are going to discuss today. And we will look into the transport through e-mobility, the role of biofuels, and I don't know if the word will come to the aviation long-haul shipping, and then we can also look into the dimensions of how green hydrogen and derivatives can be integrated into. And then the industrial sector, obviously electrification is also central to the industrial sector, but looking into biofuels, green hydrogen, and food and agriculture, water supply, public services, that are extremely important. As I mentioned, adaptation angle is extremely important, because these are very much related to the solutions on the ground with the local people and the communities. So it's very community-driven, people-centric approaches and solutions, and many of them are relying on decentralized renewable energy solutions, especially in the agriculture sector, and we will be looking into that. IRENA, we have been working in that field quite extensively. Especially there's a new initiative that we have launched at the previous COP, which is called Empowering Lives and Livelihoods with Renewables, specifically looking into solutions in agriculture and healthcare sectors, and looking into not only the technical solutions, but also develop corresponding financial solutions, because you can develop most beautiful, most innovative technical solutions, but if it's not supported by appropriate financing mechanisms, and in many instances, those financing mechanisms needs to be very, very well tailored to the needs on the ground. We have to understand on the ground the ecosystem very well and the dynamics in the sector, and then develop mechanisms around it. I mean, we will hear some examples during our discussions on that. We will be looking into solutions for transport, agriculture, from technical and financial angles, the role of private sector and utilities. We will be having. We will also look into some specific examples from the ground, from the Philippines and China, especially innovative agrivoltaics systems, marine transport modernization in Philippines, and women-led clean cooking solutions in Nepal, and other specific technical and financial initiatives to accelerate deployment of such solutions. So we have a fantastic panel lined up, I would like to make the session very interactive. So we will be having first the presentations, and I will then give you the opportunity to ask if you have any questions to the panelists. Then I have my own questions, but your questions are more important than my questions. So I will give priority to your questions. And then if there's an opportunity, I will also pose a couple of questions to the panelists. So let me invite our panelists to the podium. Let me start by inviting Mr. Pratapar, Director of Pratapar and Associates. Then Mr. Ratasiri Vacharapunyanont. I hope I pronounce it well. Please. Shengnian Zhu from research associate from Sustainable Investments, WRI China. And Mr. Kaiser Marcelino, Senior Utility Advisor, USAID ESP Activity, RTI. Ms. Binita Shrestha, Program Advisor from Ministry of Energy of Nepal. Sorry, Minergie of Nepal, sorry, apologies. And then Ms. Jezlir Montes, Senior RS and GIS Specialist, Manila Observatory. So, as I said, we will start with the presentations from our distinguished panelists. And I would highly appreciate if they can limit their presentations to 8 minutes so that we have enough time for questions and answers and follow up on their presentation.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Pratapar. In the last couple of days, you guys have been listening about energy and energy security. I wanted to remind you that there's another security that our societies look for, that is food security. And I would like to talk about how energy supports food security and water security. Some of you may have or may not have heard of the term water, energy, food nexus. This is basically the three circles, the water, energy, and food nexus are linked both ways. For example, if you follow the water, we need water to cool power plants, that you understand. Then, of course, energy plants, energy is used to irrigate crops. You have to pump your water from groundwater or surface water, whatever. You need energy. And then you could use the water, the food to support land use decision of where to grow, what crops to grow, and so forth. You could go also in the opposite direction. Without irrigating, you're not going to get good yields. Of course, rainwater is essential requirement for food. And similarly, you can say that the agricultural land is used for energy production, for crops and so forth. And then, of course, like I mentioned, the energy is required to extract and distribute water. So basically, water, energy, food are linked together, a nexus together. And my presentation today is that how does these links are handled within the context in few projects at ADB initiated projects. And then I just want to give you some ideas how one is helping the other and so forth. I must put a disclaimer here. I don't work for ADB. I'm a consultant to the projects. The projects I'm going to show are some of the ideas being contemplated and discussed within ADB and the recipient countries. they're not necessarily implemented yet. So at this stage, these are very conceptual and then ideas how the link is made and promoted. So Asian Development Bank has every 10 years or so, they develop a strategy. So the current strategy that is now in place is the strategy 2030. And it has several operational priorities. OP, we call it OP 1, 2, 3, up to 7. And OP3 is about climate change, disaster resilience, and environmental sustainability. Under each OPs, operational priorities, there are 5 number of pillars. Under this OP3, there are 5 pillars. One of them is how we address water, energy, food nexus within the investment programs. I think that's a context. So basically, what it is that how do you get the best of all 3, not without suppressing or depleting the other. For example, if you pump groundwater and deplete it, you are depleting the groundwater resources to produce food, but that's not an optimal situation in the long term. So you have to bring into some balance. So that's what this water energy nexus thinking is about. There's a lot of thinking being done, a lot of publications being done. The nexus recognizes that when you create one form of one of the 3, then it also helps you create another one of the 3. For example, if you create clean energy, more energy, then you can use that to either desalinate and drinking water, or you can use it to irrigate and supply and so forth. So when you create one, the other also can be, the availability of the other one will come. When the water availability comes higher, then obviously people are drinking better water, the health conditions gets better, and better food is being produced. So there is a link. That's the fundamental line of this nexus. So now I want to give you 4 different examples in ADB related projects where the ideas are being promoted and the pros and cons a little bit about it. The first one proposed is in Maharashtra. They have a program called high voltage distribution system in India, Maharashtra, India. So what that means is that right now they have low voltage distribution system. That means there is a lot of leakage of energy, loss, you can't manage it granularly, and so forth. And then the other issue related to water is that the supply of low voltage distribution systems are not very reliable. So what the farmers try to do is when they get the electricity, they will pump the water whether they need it or not, right? So you deplete the groundwater. So you can go in the opposite, it has been going in the opposite direction. So one solution is that when the HVDS comes in, then you can target the consumer at a granular level and then manage it, and leakages will be stopped and so forth. So this energy program is being supported, and then within this HVDS program, there is an idea, concept pilot at this stage, is to show what is the best thing that you can do within the energy that is reliably available. I'm using the word reliably available to you to produce more food sustainably and profitably. And in this pilot, the idea is not just to give reliable energy, and therefore you have reliable water, but you also try to bring the other support services like irrigation advisory services, post-harvest services, pre-input services and so forth as a package together with the other ADB project called Magnet, so that there's a package available for the farmer, because you have to remember energy and water are just 2 inputs to agriculture. This particular project has beneficiaries at all levels. The first beneficiary, of course, is the government. It will reduce the subsidies that is providing now to either to the electricity or diesel or otherwise. So it brings the subsidies down. The farmers, the biggest benefit is reliable water. So he or she knows I will get the water at this particular time of the day. Now, if the HVDS is providing energy in a reliable way, then that will help irrigating during the daytime for women-led farmers. So there is an impact on the women also, because otherwise sometimes electricity comes only at night. 2 problems. One, the women will have difficulties getting out irrigating. Other one is when you turn on the pump, you don't turn it off, so you are depleting the waters. These issues could come. And the other benefit is, of course, when the diesel pumps are replaced by HVDS, then the chance of CO2 emissions will decrease. So this is one of the idea we are working on. I am helping or working with ADB staff. The second one I would like to Yeah, sorry, I'm going the opposite way. The second idea project is in Bangladesh. So ADB energy team, energy staff, they created a water team, worked with the government of Bangladesh, and now have produced a roadmap to replace the diesel pumps with electric pumps. So that roadmap has been approved. Now the question is, the next is, of course, they have to develop an implementation plan, find the funding and so forth. That activity is going on. So the idea here is that Bangladesh is land short, water rich, right? So most of the time when people talk about water, food, energy nexus, we talk about the areas where arid countries or semi-arid countries where water is short. So Bangladesh is the other way about, right? So they have water at a shallow depth. Of course, they don't want it depleted. They don't have storage because it's a flat country, they can't put it in a dam. And also because they are short of land, the entire land surface, wherever agriculture can come in, has been cultivated, right? So there is no new area to expand. What does it mean for energy water issue context is that when all the land is covered, that means you cannot increase the area. That means there is not going to be additional area which will receive solar radiation for evaporation purposes. So solar energy is the one drives the evaporation processes. So they are actually maximizing evapotranspiration from the land surface, and therefore you, by diversifying to another crop, another source of water, another source of energy, they are not going to increase the demand for water. So there was a concern that if you solarize it in Bangladesh, will it deplete the groundwater resources, which has happened in some other parts of the world. So here we were able to convince through detailed studies to show, look, your area is fixed, radiation is fixed, and therefore water consumption cannot exceed. They're growing burro rice, which is the maximum, which has the maximum evapotranspiration. So, and the other advantage or the other condition is that they have limited sunshine hours, 5 to 8 hours a day. So even if you turn it on, there's no solar radiation to come to pump your water out. So that's what it is. So what is being now proposed is that the roadmap, like I mentioned, has been developed. And then there are 3 working models to roll out the solarization program. Oh, sorry. The 3 working models have been progressed, and then they are planning to go through in the future. One thing I must say that in Bangladesh, they also have pre-metered net metering systems already being piloted, and therefore it will restrict the wastage of energy. Similar ideas, so there in Maldives and FSM, there is clean energy program ADB is carrying out, and then very soon the extra energies will be used to provide reliable water supplies to the island community. And then if there is even additional water that is available, then that will be used to help out processing fish or cold storage or drying food crops or otherwise. So there are a number of applications coming in. With that, I finish my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pradapar. Very interesting. And we know in South Asia, especially, the deployment of especially the solar irrigation systems is quite extensive. I had the privilege to witness some of them, especially in India, in the Bangalore region, together with Selco Foundation. And but it is equally important that how these solutions are deployed, and then what are the mechanisms of, especially supporting financial mechanisms, and how it impacts the farmers from economical development point of view. Maybe in the next question we can capture that part. But first, let me move to Mr. Ratasiri, and who is Regional Innovation Hub Manager for South and Southeast Asia, Water and Energy for Food Program. And he will tell us about the successes and challenges in scaling renewable energy adoption through impact-driven startups acceleration.
Thank you, everyone. Normally, I need to start sharing a bit about water, energy, food nexus, but thank you, the first speaker, Pratapa, so we can skip that part. But before I start, can I see a bit of your hands? Please raise your hand if any of you here installed a PV in your house. And how about any one of you here who install the IoT device that can help improve the efficiency of your house energy system? We don't see a lot of hands, do we? And this is exactly the reason, even though we all care about energy, not everyone are willing or able or want to or already adopt the technology. These are exactly the same problems that we try to tackle with this We4F project, because a lot of startups who work in the water, energy, food nexus have the same problems. So we are the multi-donor funder program to support all of these amazing startups across South and Southeast Asia who work on water, energy, food nexus technology. So basically we help them to scale and expand in other countries, and even raise fund as well. So a couple things that we do. We now have about 40 startups in the cohort. Majority of them are in India. We have quite a few in other countries as well, like Indonesia, Vietnam, Cambodia. We are about to have the very first innovator in the Philippines too. So we provide more than 100 TA already to help them scale and also help them raise more than $132 million in terms of at-risk investment. But with that said, there are a lot of things that we have done successfully and many things that we kind of don't grade ourselves at A as well. So we would love to share those with you. And I want to share it at 2 levels. The first level at the innovator level, what can be the lesson learned that we can learn to boost the adoption of this renewable energy in the water, energy, food nexus. And at the second level is at the program level. I'm sure there are a lot of development agency peers here. So what can we do as development agency to help them to promote and boost the adoption of these technologies? At the innovator level, one lesson learned that we learn is that when it comes to application-based technology, it tends to scale very, very fast. For example, we have one startup in Myanmar that managed to scale 6-fold from 100,000 to more than 600,000 within 2 years in terms of users, in terms of application users. It works pretty much the same way in my previous role at New Energy Nexus as well. We have the IoT device and IoT and application startups who work on energy efficiency. They're one of the most successful startup in our cohort as well, just raised a couple of millions funds and now expand to Hong Kong and beyond. But even though the application-based, because they're application-based and a lot of farmers, a lot of users have access to smartphone, as all of us here, everyone can download it very easily. However, there are some challenges as well because, you know what, when people download it doesn't mean that they can use it correctly. So training is still required for them to actually help the farmer to be able to use it correctly. And the second part is that for them to scale and expand to other countries, human resource and talents acquisition is one of the key challenges because not everyone is equipped with the skills to develop this technology. So therefore, when they scale, these are the 2 main challenges that they face. Another quick thing is about the end user financing. Even though you have the best technology in the world, with a lot of farmers want to use it, and with a lot of users want to use it, not everyone have the luxury of wealth to afford it and pay the full cost of it. It's the same in the agriculture raw industry as well. We have one startup called AgroSolar. So instead of having the farmer pay for their solar power pump 100% since day one, they embed with the end user financing schemes and allow the farmer to only pay 30% of the cost. These help boost the adoption a lot because the farmer now don't need to pay a lot at the beginning, and they can start paying the second and the third endowment after they finish harvesting the crop. So basically they can use it for almost free and pretty much 1/3 of the cost for a year or 2, hopefully not that long, and then start paying back. So that works very well, right? But there are some challenges as well because not every startups are able to find the right MFI partners. That has been one of the key struggles that many startups faced when they want to utilize the end user financing. And this might be another role of the development agency, of the private sectors here, of the financial institutions here who might be in the room to support those startups too. The second part that I want to talk is about the program level. What can the development agency like us can do? The first one is that grant is not everything. So a lot of us may think that grant can help solve a lot of problems, which is also true, but it's not everything. We have quite a few startups who came to our program have already received more than $500,000 worth of grant, and they're still unprofitable. So in addition to grant, I would say one of the most crucial thing is the technical assistance to help them to be more financially sustainable. So in addition to grant, I would say the technical assistance to shape their business model, to change the CEO of mindset, change the way they operate, and help them to sustainably expand would be the more crucial thing. Another one would be enabling environment. While we talk a lot about the technicality of it, about the business of it, one of the key challenges that a lot of startups have is actually enabling environment. There are many policy and regulatory challenges that they face, and that can be our additionality. There are many things the private sector can do best, but changing policy is not one of them. And that can be something that we can add, and as a collective effort of all of us here. One example is in India. We have one startup who is US-based but operated a lot in India called AST. They have very amazing technology. But one day, the government introduced a new regulation and they need to stop selling right away the next morning. So then we have to start working with them on the legal advisory service, TA and beyond. We have quite a few other startups, energy startup on biogas in India as well, another startup in Indonesia who face the same challenges about compliance and about policy advocacy. There are many policies that can prevent the business to sustainably scale in those countries. So this can be another area that we as development agency can focus more in the future. The very last thing I want to share during this presentation is about collaboration. As much as we think that we're good in everything, the fact is we are not. There are many things that we, FREF, as a program can do. We are very specialized in business acceleration and technology validations and beyond, and even gender and biodiversity. But there are many areas that we are not good as well. For example, when it comes to policy advocacy, when it comes to market expansion strategy and feasibilities, which require local knowledge, we need the local partners. For example, for Haas Venture, who is in Cambodia, we now partner with another US government agency, the USAID program, to help them expand to Thailand, because that other program have more knowledge about the policy, about the feasibility of the market in Thailand than us. And the similar initiative is happening in India as well, and other countries and beyond. So I'll take a pause here right on time, and I'll give the floor back to the next presenter. And I'll look forward to discussion in the panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A very interesting presentation, especially on the grant part, I think, because we really need to understand the role of grants and concessional funding in deploying solutions. Because at the end of the day, our objective is to create self-sustaining markets. And that cannot happen if we continue providing grants to the sector and everything is done based on grants. Obviously, there's a key role for grants and concessional funding to kickstart the market and take action towards creating and self-functioning markets. So I think this point is extremely important. Thank you very much for highlighting that. Then we're moving to our third speaker. And I would like to invite Mr. Shangnian Zhu, and he's going to tell us about agrivoltaics.
Hello, everyone. So today I'm going to talk about agrivoltaics. Some may have heard about this kind of project before. Agrivoltaics is a concept of solar PV installations at the same time, same site of agriculture. So it is a dual use of land. As you know, that solar PV project requires plenty of land, and sometimes inevitably they invade the agricultural land. So we can use this as a dual use. I will briefly introduce you some case of agrivoltaics in China, then and the current development in there and the future potential maybe in Southeast Asian region. So the case, first case, is an integration project of solar PV with livestock grazing in Inner Mongolia with installation of 1 megawatt. So Inner Mongolia is one of the sunniest regions in China. This 1 megawatt agrivoltaic livestock grazing project was established through the government grants and the private investment. So this project with land leased to the livestock company generated revenues from the electricity sales to the grid, and which will be distributed to the herds as based on their ownerships of the investment. And the annual return of this rate is 20%. It's very high. And the rest of the revenue will be used for the local communities' infrastructure development and improvement. So this successful pilot project has encouraged more involvement in the agrivoltaics, in the photovoltaics projects there. And here's a second case. This is an integration project of solar PV with aqua farming near the mouth of the Yellow River in Dongying City, Shandong Province. The solar photovoltaics panels are installed several meters above the water, generating an annual 260 gigawatt hours of energy. So this energy is enough to power more than 100,000 households in China. Since its completion and its grid connection in 2021, the project has provided farmers with significant economic benefits. Beyond providing clean energy to the grid, the shading from the panels have also kept the water temperature consistently 2 to 3 degrees cooler than the outdoor ponds without the panels during the summertime. So which have boosted the shrimp and the sea cucumber yields by 50%. These solar panel companies have installed the panels leased in the space, helping reduce the farming cost and also paying for the additional improvement and the modernization of these farmlands. So this is a third case. This case illustrates the integration of solar panels with vegetable greenhouse. This project involves solar companies collaborating with the agriculture companies together. So to joint invest in the solar PV project and cultivate the vegetables. So in this model, the solar company finances the solar project and covers the land leasing, while the agriculture company handles the vegetable cultivation and manages for the maintenance of the solar panels. So this partnership allows the solar company to save on maintenance cost and the agriculture company to save on land leasing cost. The solar vegetable greenhouse features a standard greenhouse structure, and where the framework supports photovoltaic panels. Each greenhouse installed a capacity of more than almost 600 kilowatt solar panels, covering an area of 4,000 square meters. And the fourth case is a solar irrigation project located in Shanxi province. This area used to be desert. More than 10 years ago, they started to use solar PV water systems to irrigate the plants during the dry season. And the investment is relatively low compared to the cost of the system using diesel generators. over the 25 years of lifetime, it produced a total of 700,000 tons of water, resulting in an average cost of only $0.03 per ton of water. So this reduced the cost by 80%. And through long-term management and afforestation, the area of this desert has significantly changed into greenland. And this is a case in Jiangsu province. This is a wheat cultivation solar PV project. The solar company also signed a land lease contract with the local government and pay them for every per mu area for 1,100 RMB. The solar company is responsible for the investment, construction, and operation of the solar system, and the agricultural cultivation companies managed by the agriculture company. So the agriculture company pays only 10% of this land rental fee, and but here's but the impact of the shading is very important here. This project is located in the Yangtze River Delta area and involves long-term productivity monitoring. The average shading ratio of this solar panel in the entire project is between 35% to 40%. And the shading condition vary in different areas of this site, and the weight yield are shown in the table. So you can see the worst shading condition caused like 35% of reduction in the productivity. And this is give you this figure is some data we collected from the public news of the agrivoltaics project in China. The total number is over 500, and the installed total capacity is more than 31 gigawatt in China. And the smallest project is 10 kilowatt, and the largest one can be is 1 gigawatt. So among this data, there are approximately 10% of this project have a size less than 10 megawatt. And this figure introduces one definition of power density of solar PV project, which shows that the land coverage ratio is very important. And in China, this figure shows that the land coverage ratio of this more than 500 project is, they didn't fully consider the impact of shading on the productivity. So long-term monitoring and follow-up regulations is also still needed in China. And this is a figure we have conducted about the technical potential of agrivoltaic project in Southeast regions. With 10% of the land coverage ratio, the technical potential for different land agriculture land use is huge. And thank you. This is a 1 gigawatt project in Ningxia province, and underneath the solar panel is Chinese goji wolfberry plantations. So thank you, and that's all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ji. Very interesting presentation, and I see that potential is huge, and still less than 10% has been deployed so far, especially in the region. The figures you shared on the cost, water cost, and it's extremely interesting. And compared to diesel gensets, this solar PV solutions providing 80% reduction in the water costs, which is extremely significant, let alone in many parts of our countries. As you know, the logistic of fuel supply is altogether another issue, let alone the price. Let me move to our next presenter, Mr. Kaiser Marcelino. Now we're switching to transport. He's going to tell us about modernizing marine transport with renewables.
Yeah, good morning. So first of all, I would like to thank ADB for having me here, USAID and RTI International for supporting me. So again, I'll be discussing some of the the transportation, marine transportation here in the Philippines. So first of all, just a brief introduction of who we are. So we are Energy Secure Philippines. So we are in partnership with the DOE, Department of Energy and Energy Regulatory Commission. So our goal is to enhance energy reliability, security, and given a unified power system. Objectives are to improve electric utility performance, increase deployment of advanced energy systems, and enhance competition in the power sector. So the key achievement for this project is the local development of the RE boat power source and a source of emergency power during emergencies and disasters. Marine transportation with cold storage, as we all know that the Philippines is an island nation, and an alternative mode of transportation. So here are the key achievements that we got from the implementation of the project. So we developed and trained local boat builders and then local sourcing of materials, and we introduced the e-boats to local stakeholders to get some background or inputs from them. And then as a source of power during emergencies and disasters, we have shown that the boat is capable of doing a vehicle to grid or vehicle to load applications, and is powered by a 6 by 540 peak bifacial solar panels, and has a 19.2 kilowatt hour battery capacity. For the marine transport with cold storage, it basically answers as a solution in transporting temperature sensitive vaccines, produce, and among others. So as an alternative mode of transportation, it does not rely on expensive and imported fuels, reduces carbon emissions, and can be used by either boat fishermen and tourist boats, as we've tested it during the before and prior to commissioning of the RE boat. So key achievements during the local development of RE boat. So we've trained again the boat builders and then source of materials, and then we also got some inputs from the stakeholders. So one of the inputs that we got is there's a positive response regarding RE boats, because it eliminated their perception of this electric boat will be costly in the future, or has an initial cost. And then again, boat being made of a fiberglass, so it has durability more durable compared with the wooden hulls. And then we've already also installed the cold storage. Then it reduces related expenses in the production or when you buy ice from manufacturers. So for fishermen. So as another achievement is we showcase that this boat can do as a solution to emergency and disasters. So again, we showcase that it has the capability to do the vehicle to grid solution, and it basically give us, answer or improve the resiliency of a community. So which is compliant with the Philippine Department of Energy's resiliency program. So key achievements is also with the marine transport with cold storage. So it showed we did the cold storage for both vaccines and fresh produce. Basically, the island nation is so the temperature vaccines can be transported easily without reducing spoilage. And then we did some analysis on it as an alternative mode of transportation. So we tested it for more than 5 hours, and what we got is for this trip, for a sample data, a duration of 5 hours with a distance of less than 8 kilometers, So we save about 180 pesos compared of using gasolines. And then for the whole 50-kilometer trip, we save around 1,100 pesos. And then if you annualize that, it will save you 421,000 pesos. Again, it will depend on how much the gasoline or the petrol prices are. So equivalently, it reduces an emission of 66 metric tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So the basic description of the boat, it has the solar PV capacity of 6 by 540 watt peak bifacial solar panels, electric motor of 15 kilowatts DC, has a cold storage capacity of 250 liters, fiberglasses are hull, and it can run for more than 5 hours. Again, mimicking any the tourist boat and what does a fisherman does in outside of the and then it has a passenger capacity of 6 boatmen, excluding boatmen, and then the battery capacity of 19.2 kilowatt hour. So what are the lessons that we have learned from this project? So again, it provides an alternative mode of transportation which reduces reliance on fossil fuels, which are especially volatile in the market, and reduces greenhouse emissions. For technology innovation, we use the most advanced or the market available technology. So for the next iteration of the project, the design can still be improved. Then cold storage was seen as a game changer for island communities, because you're already keeping your or vaccine transporting your vaccines and keeping your fresh produce at the same time. So, and another is that the vehicle grid capability or vehicle to load capability, which provides backup power during emergencies and disasters. And then stakeholder engagement. So a lot of inputs or feedbacks are needed to further improve the project. So what's next? So we're building a larger passenger ferry, and we're also replicating this boat into another island province in the Philippines. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kaiser. In arena scenarios, electrification of short-haul shipping is the key solution. So this is a very good example of how it can be implemented. And I would like to hear more about the future plans in the next round of questions. And now let me move to Binita. And Binita will present us an example of woman-led clean cooking solution in Nepal.
Thank you, Girbhuj. Hello, everyone. Namaste and good afternoon. I'm Binita, representing Rural Development Center in South Rudek in Nepal. For those who don't know what our organization do, I would like to go through a short introduction of in which sectors my organization is working with. We provide services nationally in renewable energy, infrastructure development, health, education, and water and sanitation hygiene sector. We are actively engaged with primary stakeholders such as private sector, government, and communities, especially the marginalized group, for the effectiveness and sustainability of our intervention. So now let me take you through a work of an emerging women leaders from the local community of Nepal, with whom we have worked intensively in a project for 18 months. So before I start, may I ask you who the women in the pictures are? Do you have any idea? These women are the main beneficiaries of our intervention, the representative of the local women cooperatives, the one who lead the supply chain of the clean cooking initiatives. They are the one who represents the women from the beneficiary household, the users. Today, I'm going to share the work they have done and the experience gained from this project in front of this influential audience who can make a difference in the lives of the emerging women leaders across the globe. An estimated of 70% of the household in Nepal cook with firewood. They still rely on biomass-based traditional cook stove, which is the main cause of indoor air pollution and greenhouse gas emission in Nepal. This is according to Clean Cooking Alliance data collected in Nepal. As women are the primary users of cook stove, the use of this traditional cook stove has severe impacts on women's health and their well-being. The intervention supported by International Climate Initiative, in short IKI small grant, follows the philosophy of for the women, by the women. To address the community's clean cooking need, the women cooperatives of far western Nepal was identified as a supply of for the clean cooking solution. These projects promote the clean cooking solution to replace the traditional cook stove, where 4 local women cooperatives cooperate with their 2 municipal government and the producer, the manufacturer of the clean cooking technologies in Nepal. Unlike the past clean cooking program, where men take the decision on choosing the stove model for their household, this project has capacitated women members to take the decision for the type of stove on the model of the stove they require for their household by building the awareness and promoting them with the opportunity such that they can select the stove model that fits best as per the needs of their household. Hence, in this intervention, women are at the center of both supply and demand side of the stove business. The project contributes in transforming the gender roles, improving the livelihood of the women that are associated with this project, as well as their families, and thereby establishing women as a change maker in the local community. The overall project goal is to achieve the cleaner indoor air, lower greenhouse gas emission, and enhance better economic situation for the target group. The project aims to promote the clean cooking solution to replace traditional stove in the targeted municipalities by capacitating and mobilizing these 4 local women cooperatives as a stove entrepreneurs, which helps them to establish a clean cooking business for the community. The project also strengthens women cooperatives through enhancing their empowerment and entrepreneurship skills, business management skills, as well as awareness raising. Furthermore, the women cooperative conducted the social marketing events, campaigns to inform their local community about the clean cooking solution. And you may ask, why this intervention has chosen women cooperatives to establish a stove business in the community. We choose the project choose local women cooperatives as a supply chain actor for this project because they were best suited for this intervention because they have the local presence in the community, they have their own membership base and can provide the credit facilities for their members and non-members, giving them the unique advantage to promote the clean cook stove for the communities. At the same time, the project collaborates with local governments, which help them to develop the local energy policies, plans, and financial packages for the promotion of clean cook stove. Measures to ensure the sustainability of the project, the intervention includes capacity building on after-sales service, that is the repair and maintenance of the clean cook stove, demand creation and marketing, and on top of that, the project helped in building the linkage, business linkage between the women cooperatives and the producer, retailer, distributor of the clean cook stove. We experienced the encouraging result. The members of women cooperatives were empowered as stove entrepreneurs, which helped them to establish a clean cooking business. The intervention also supported the local government as well as the women cooperatives to develop a financial package for the promotion of clean cooking solution. And lastly, the intervention ensured the local access to the clean cooking product in the community, which was non-existent, thereby developing a localized clean cooking supply chain, which is led by women. Lastly, I'm out of time. 30 seconds. Please join hands for the lasting impact. This intervention has reached 1/4 of the household in the municipality where we are working, and this has created a critical mass for the stove business, thereby propagating the interest, demand, and need from the remaining households. Since 70% of Nepalese women still rely on biomass, traditional biomass for cooking, there is a need for clean cooking solution in most municipalities of Nepal. Similarly, women cooperatives to prevail, they exist. They prevail in almost all districts of the country. The success of this intervention can provide a basis for the replication of this model to many other remaining municipalities in Nepal, as well as across the globe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vinita. In fact, what we see in the last few years is a much stronger momentum around clean cooking. I mean, we are discussing here the Asian case, obviously, but just to give you an example, when you go to Africa now today, and when you ask governments about what is your highest priorities, clean cooking comes on top, one of the first three items on their agenda. So this is one much stronger momentum around it. And you might have heard probably a few weeks back, there was a clean cooking summit gathered in Paris. And because that is about the scaling solutions, because there are so many good examples. One of the examples that Vinita presented, but how we can bring scale to this deployment of solutions to achieve a lasting impact. And thank you very much for highlighting the role of women within that picture, because it has, I think, two dimensions of it. One is women as beneficiary of those solutions, because they are impacted with as the use of more involved in the clean cooking or cooking at home, and they are impacted by indoor pollution, etc. But also as women, empowered women. So they are the owner of the solutions, implementer of the solutions. So it's a much stronger livelihoods for women with the deployment of these solutions. Thank you very much, Vinita. So let me move to our last presenter, and Jezlir. She will tell us about the development of a space-based renewable energy decision support system.
Good afternoon. I am Jezlir Mantajes from Manila Observatory. So before I start, I would like to give a brief description of our organization. So Manila Observatory is a nonprofit research organization working in the fields of atmospheric and earth science in the Philippines, in the Southeast and South Asia regions. So we advocate science-based approach to sustainable development and poverty reduction. So now I will be presenting one of our research, the development of space-based renewable energy decision support system, or REDSS. So this research is a process-oriented design that apply climate modeling and remote sensing in geographic information system, or RSGIS, to investigate the renewable energy resource suitability and risk in the Philippines. It has case studies at national, regional, and local scale, but in the benefit of time, I will only focus on the national scale or countrywide scale. So in this research, we include the following renewable energy: solar, wind, biomass, geothermal, hydropower, and marine. Please take note that the marine study is still ongoing. The following methods were applied to assess the renewable energy resource suitability and risk. For the resource assessment, climate models are utilized to map the solar and wind resources. RS and GIS methods are used to map the biomass resource, while the existing spatial datasets are applied for geothermal and hydropower resources. Site suitability used the factor in constraint criteria. So factors are favorable characteristics for RE development, while constraints are excluded areas or the restricted and unsuitable sites for development. The risk assessment mainstreams disaster risk reduction and management into renewable energy development. This assessment is subdivided into three. First, the risk to resource that evaluate the existing and projected climate scenario. Second, the risk to facilities and systems approximate the potential impact across the supply chain. And third, the risk to community and environment. This is at local scale that consider the indirect or secondary effect on downstream communities and environment. So in the following slides, I will show you the result of our research for each renewable energy. In solar energy resource map, there is an increasing projected annual photovoltaic from 2046 to 2065 at high emission scenario, or RCP 8.5. This increasing resource is evident in the Ilocos region, Batangas, Laguna, and Southern Mindoro, Central Palawan, Siquijor, South of Bohol, Negros, and East and Southwest of Mindanao. For ground-mounted PBs, the site suitability ranges from more suitable to unsuitable. More suitable areas are in the relatively flat plains of Pangasinan, Nueva Ecija, and Tarlac provinces. Areas that experience floods greater than 50 centimeters may damage the existing solar power plant. Locations with high flood susceptibilities and multiple solar facilities are in Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, and Metro Manila. So for wind energy, the projected power density from 2046 to 2065 at moderate emission scenario, or RCP 4.5, shows significant value in red. These include Babuyan and Batanes Islands, Pulilio, Masbate, Cuyo, and the island between Visayas and Mindanao. So Visayas are the cluster of island in the central Philippines, and Mindanao is the large island in the southern part. The suitable areas for wind energy are found in the provinces of Cagayan, Isabela, Central Luzon, Bicol region, portions of Visayas, and Mindanao. So when it comes to biomass energy, most parts of the country are high biomass resources, particularly in the high elevation areas, such as Cordillera Administrative Region, Mindoro, Northern Samar, and Southeast Mindanao. Areas that are suitable for biomass renewable energy are situated mostly along vast plains such as Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Masbate, Guimaras, Negros Oriental, Zamboanga Peninsula, and Davao de Oro. One of the risks that would adversely alter the availability, continuity, dependability, and supply of biomass resource is the risk due to agricultural drought. So this map shows the projection from 2046 to 2065 at high emission scenario or RCP 8.5. Some parts of Mindanao are likely to experience an increase of high or very high drought risk percentage in the future. On the other hand, the potential geothermal power represented in blue circles on the map has an estimated capacity of around 4,000 megawatts from undeveloped geothermal resources. Locations that are suitable for development of geothermal power plant are along flat terrains such as Cagayan and Isabela, Nueva Ecija, Masbate, and Negros Occidental, Agusan del Sur, Davao del Norte, and Cotabato. High temperature geothermal fields in the Philippines are in volcanic prone to earthquake. This map features the risk posed by earthquake to geothermal sites. Fortunately, most of the geothermal sites are in the areas with moderate earthquake risk. For hydropower resources, the country can potentially generate a capacity ranging from 5 kilowatt to more than 100 megawatt, with 50% located within Luzon Island. So Luzon Island is the large island on the north part of the Philippines, and then 10% in the Mindanao. Most areas suitable for run-of-river type hydropower are found near large streams and rivers with varying elevations in Cagayan and Isabela, Nueva Ecija, Capiz, and Iloilo. Hydropower facilities are mostly located in countryside, generally mountainous areas with high rainfall, which makes the facilities prone to landslide. For marine energy, the extractable zones are Western Luzon, Bohol Sea, Davao Gulf, and Moro Gulf. One of the biggest challenges for marine power plants is designing facilities that can withstand the rough environment. Infrastructure installed on the coast and ocean is susceptible to earthquakes. So a 3-day workshop was conducted to determine the renewable energy options at national scale. It was attended by representatives from the Department of Energy and its field offices. The results were presented and feedback were gathered in the relevance, validity, and usability as a decision support tool for sustainable and strategic determination and prioritization of renewable energy options. So the table shows the selected renewable energy options per renewable energy. So to summarize, the value-added maps aid in identifying, visualizing, and analyzing area development that would capacitate stakeholders, bridge policy gaps, and help towards harnessing area resources. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jezlir. A very interesting presentation. Obviously, it is complicated. I mean, resource assessment is a complicated business. I mean, she has provided us a very summary of the results, but I'm sure there's a very sophisticated analysis and models behind it. Because, okay, I mean, solar and wind based on GIS maps, it is simpler, but when it comes to geothermal, hydropower, it becomes the question, and also biomass, it becomes extremely complicated. Thank you. So we have finalized the first part of our session, and we have heard from our distinguished panelists and on their work on quite a variety of areas. Some of them are specific looking into agri-solutions. We heard about the specific marine transport solution, clean cooking, and finally, from Jezlir, the resource assessment work, which is very supportive of everything we do on renewables, because resource assessment is key to, is a starting point for everything we do on renewables. At this point, I would like to give you the opportunity to ask any questions to our panelists. Anything, any clarification points? You may want to share your specific perspective on any of the points, and we will take it from there. And I see one, please introduce yourself first and then ask your question, and please indicate to whom you're asking.
Thank you very much. Jesse Todok, consultant of UNEP. I think that's a very interesting work from the, from the laboratories. I forgot the name of the laboratory. My question is, you said you have done regional, mapping also. May I know which regions you have done it? And also the second one, the assessment is on in terms of the, various renewable energy resources, but can the model be used for specific technology, for example, for solar, because there's so many solar PV technologies, and I guess the same for the other, in some extent, the other renewables. Those are my two questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, so our regional study is technically a zoom into the three main islands in the Philippines, which are Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. And then for the specific studies, in our website, panahon.observatory.ph, we have 3 hourly forecast for wind and power resource in the Philippines. So maybe you could check it out. It's a tool that you can use to check the potential solar power in the Philippines as well as the potential wind energy. Thank you.
Yes, please.
I'm Ernie Lim from NGOs for Fisheries Reform. I was able to attend one consultation on the development of the Marine Spatial Plan. I'd like to ask the last speaker if your studies have been considered for that Marine Spatial Map. Because, for example, there seems to be a lack of coordination among the agencies. For example, I've heard that the DOE has already identified the 10 ports to be developed, but the basis was merely the number of applications or licenses, permits issued by the DOE. So, but the spatial map has not yet been completed. I don't know if your study has been considered, because you've already identified specific areas which would be more suitable for the wind projects.
So the maps that I presented earlier with regards to marine is for OTEC, or Ocean Thermal Energy Conversion. So that is if the ocean have this difference in temperature to which we can use to generate electricity. I'm not really sure on the 10 ports. I'm not sure what type of marine energy that the government have been offering for the 10 ports. What I've heard is it is for the wind, offshore wind. So I think I'm not in the right position to answer that. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me also provide you some of the work that Irina does in that space, especially on resource assessment, because one of the services that we provide our member states is the so-called site assessments. It goes a little bit beyond what the technical analysis provides, but also provides some financial assessment out of that. So basically coming up with the key financial parameters like LCOE, etc. So some of the key parameters, and this is not bankable data, obviously, but it provides, especially for the governments, if they are going to organize a public procurement auctions or some other form of public procurement of power in that particular area, then it will give them a clear idea of what should be the expectations of rate of return, LCOE from that particular zone, but also for the private sector that an initial idea of what the key parameters would be. This is one. And the second one is, I think it's a little different, which is more for the urban areas and looking into the potential of rooftops. Especially for solar, and we call it solar rooftop simulator, and looking into the positioning of the building stock and the shade areas, etc., and how much is the potential of solar power out of that particular area. And this is another sort of analysis we undertake. With this, do we have any other questions from the audience? Yes, please.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Sabrina. I'm also from the Manila Observatory, but from the Policy and Legal Division. So my question is for Sir Marcelino on the RE-driven boats. What is the impact on the cost of maintenance and operation compared to traditional boats?
Well, for the boats, it's very minimal since you're operating, I mean, the hulls are fiberglass, so it has less maintenance compared to a wooden hull. And then for the the panels, you just have to clean it and wipe it. Basically, the maintenance for the motors also very minimal compared to the tuning up of from time to time of the regular ICE motors. So compared to that, it's less difficult to maintain compared to the regular ones.
Thank you very much.
Yes, please. And then we have another question there.
Hi everyone, my name is Rans from SD Projects. We develop carbon projects. I'm currently implementing clean cooking project here in the Philippines. So my question, I would address it to Benita. Hi. My first question would be, you said in your presentation that women as stove entrepreneurs. I just want to clarify, since you use the word entrepreneurs, are they selling the stoves to the households? And if yes, is it subsidized? My second question would be, have you encountered stacking issues with the households who have availed or received the stoves? Have they also availed the stove, but also at the same time went back to using their old method of cooking? How do you deal with repair and other issues that they encountered in using the stoves? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Moving on to your first question. Here, the women from the cooperative, they are established as an entrepreneur to do the stove business. This means they were trained, capacitated in such a way that they are able to buy the stove from the stove manufacturer, distributor, as well as sell the stove to the household who are in need of the cook stove. And moving on to your second question. In this project, how it worked is like, in total of, we worked with 2 local governments through this project. And in these 2 local governments, there were a total of about 11,000 households. And from the donor agency, that is International Climate Initiative, from where we received the funding to implement this project, the subsidy, the incentives for stove was only for 3,000. 3,000 stove was subsidized through this project. And here, the women cooperative took a very good strategy in implementing a project. Like how they worked is like, while developing the guideline for their municipality, for the local government, for the promotion of wood stove, they set a criteria in the guideline. They put the criteria which notified that since only 3,000 households will receive the incentives, it was not fully subsidized. There was some percentage from the donor agency for 3,000 stoves. And in the criteria, what they said is that the stove will be distributed to the household on the priority basis, such that the household with the women-headed household with single women, household with the disabled members, and the household from the marginalized community, household with this single male household. So there was like 4 or 5 criteria set in the guideline. It was reflected in the guideline. And during the demand collection, they got the demand from many households, and among them, following the guideline, they deployed the stove only to those households which fall under the criteria that they have developed, and they distribute the stove on prioritized basis. Thank you. I hope I answered all of your question, or did I miss anything?
Wait. So I want to clarify another thing regarding the stacking issues.
Okay.
Yeah, have you encountered households that have availed the improved cook stove and went back to using their old stove, or they use 2 stoves at the same time, like the improved cook stove and also their old stove? And regarding the issues with the stoves, like repair and maintenance, how do you handle that?
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for reminding that last question. Yeah. Regarding the fuel stacking and the stove stacking, through this project, we deployed 2 different kinds of stove. One was biomass based that fall under tier 3 stove that is defined by the World Bank multi-tier framework. And another stove was the electric stove. And in those households where the electrification was reliable, the demand for the electric stove, and to those households where the electricity supply was not reliable, was not good, they buy the fuel wood based clean cook stove. And we have just implementing this project. And when we were there in the community, like I was there 2 months ago, and what I found is that they were using the improved cook stove, not the traditional one. And yes, and coming up to the after sales service, right? I did mention only a point in my presentation. But yes, the local workshop and the small mobile and this television's radio repair shop, they do exist in the rural communities in Nepal. So the people from the local workshop and the people who looks after this maintenance of mobile and television and radio, they were capacitated for the after-sales service, who can do the repair and maintenance of this cook stove. So through this project, these people has been capacitated as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. I will take 2 more questions. We have very limited time. And this gentleman just behind the microphone. And 1 more question, and then we will need, then other questions should go to bilaterally after the session. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. And
Thank you.
if the answers could be also brief, that will give us.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Dexter. I'm from the We4F. My question is for Kaiser. You mentioned, sir, 5 hours of use, cooling food, medicine, 6 people capacity apart from the boaters. I'm curious, is there adoption? And if there is adoption from the stakeholders, where is it coming from?
So right now we've got an inquiry from a local provincial government who's willing to support the project for its sustainability. So another is we're doing a larger boat capacity for the tourists actually. So we're partnering with the Department of Tourism or with the Department of Energy, of course. So there are a lot of interest in the boat because it basically has the capacity to serve as a source of power as a rural electrification in line with the government's program.
Thank you. One last question from the lady behind.
Hi, I'm Ragini. I work for an impact debt fund in India, Caspian Debt. So it was interesting to see your innovators from India because many of them we have funded as debt. And congratulations on getting 16 out of 34 as women-led. So my question to you is, how do you help them with scaling up challenges? Because a lot of companies that we have seen, they really struggle. Promethean, Agrostar, they've all gone through those. That is one question. And I'm sorry, I don't know your name. On photovoltaics, are there any agricultural crops which are more suitable for installation, or this can be done over any landmass? That is my question. But overall, thank you so much for all your inputs. It was a great session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll keep it very brief. So there are three things that we do to help them scale. First of all, we give them a bit of grant, but the thing that we want to prioritize is the technical assistance. So, and there are two types of technical assistance that we tend to give to almost all innovators. One is the business model revision. So basically, not all of them will have the business model that can enable them to actually scale and expand to all countries. They might not have the end user financing schemes. They might not have the business model that can give them sufficient money to actually being financially sustainable. So we work to improve their business model. That is the first thing. The second TA is on partnership. For example, when they want to expand to other new areas or new countries, they might not know who can be their partners, who should be their suppliers, what local policy regulation they need to comply. So we work on policy advocacy and partner connection as well. The third one is on investment readiness, because at the end of the day, our belief is that no one's going to give them free grant forever. So that will help them to be more investment ready. We help them anything from cleaning the data room to developing pitching deck to actually connecting them with some investors. So these are the three types of TA we usually provide to be able to help them to be sustainable in the long run. So I'll pause here, but look forward to discussing with you more. Please.
Yeah, for the photovoltaics, agrivoltaics project installed in different cropland, it actually, there will be a preference for the crops which need less sunlight. It will be easier to install, or will be good to install on that kind of crops. But there's another like a special case in China is about the aqua farming. Data and the study shows that 50% of the coverage of this pond actually don't affect the productivity of these aqua farming products. So it's good there. This is one kind of aqua farming land you can install. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Before we close, I would like to give the last word to Mr. Pratar to tell us about a little bit on the financing mechanisms for the deployment of solar pumps.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In this roadmap that has been developed for Bangladesh, there will be three different target groups. One, I would say, people who manage large number of groundwater pumps. Those of you familiar with Bangladesh, you know there's a district called Barind, not a district, it's a region called Barind. And there, all the groundwater is managed by BMDA, the Barind Multipurpose Development Authority. So they actually supply water using groundwater, using energy, and there's a prepaid system. The farmer has to buy a prepaid card. He has to put the prepaid card so that he gets the water. When he pulls the card out, the pump stops. So that's the system works. So that group of people, they are now relying largely on diesel and electricity. So first target is that group. So we target that group. That through that we will be able to cover, like, I think maybe 20% of Bangladesh, one go, right? So that's the first group, the major water lifting groups. And for them, the financial model will be different. The grant will be less and the loan will be high because they have a system of doing it. The second one is we will focus on the middle-sized, say 50 farmer group, NGOs manage, NGOs organize the solar pump, solar system, right? So then for them, again, there has to be a fee to be paid to the NGO which runs a place, but there may be a possibility of a higher level of grant coming in. The third modality is the individual farmers. So maybe one person, up to five, they can come in together and say, look, we want to develop it, then there has to be a different type of a financing mechanism. So the details have not been worked out. I think that's all in negotiations. It has to be agreed by, but what the ADB team has proposed is to go through three different financial models, right? So don't treat everyone the same way. Whoever has a higher capacity, there are some surface lifting water devices, they cater for like 50 hectares at a time, right? So you have different type of systems. So we want to give different financing options. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And this brings us to the end of our session. I hope you enjoyed it, and I would like to thank all our panelists for their great presentation, but also providing responses to the questions from the floor. So thank you very much, and let's give a big applause to them.